empowered people make informed decisions that lead to living a life without regret. This is Sarah Kaki and Shauna Woods from Atlanta Divorce Law Group, and this is the Happily Ever After Divorce Podcast. Hello, welcome to the Happily Ever After Divorce Podcast. I am Sarah Kaki with the Atlanta Divorce Law Group, and I'm joined by our managing partner, Shauna Woods. Shauna, welcome.
Hello.
All right, so today we're going to talk about developing positive habits after your divorce. Shauna, as you know from so many of our clients that we serve, there is a rhyme and rhythm to a family structure that's working daily to get the kids off to school, for mom and dad to get to work and get to dinner. And this can kind of fall flat on its face or turn upside down as we're going through a divorce, where if the parents are starting to live in separate parts of the house or starting to live in separate homes, or even after the fact where they've completely separated and have joint custody over the children. And the rhyme, the rhythm of the daily life starts falling apart. And a lot of people struggle with that. They struggle to find themselves outside of that habit of the day-to-day nuclear family structure they had. So I was hoping to turn to you today a little bit on what is some advice you have that you've shared with our clients who find themselves in that funk of not knowing what to do with themselves day to day and are just sort of living a reactive life post-divorce?
You know, there are so many things that come into habits, right? And we do get into habits, good habits and bad habits. And what are habits really? They're unconscious things that we do, right, every day. And they're set up, right? And we've reinforced them with good, positive things, or we've reinforced bad habits with, I really want to do X, therefore I'm going to create this bad habit because it gives me an immediate good response, even though long term it may be bad for me.
Right.
So coming into your new life, your new reality, right? You're going to have to form habits, even reform the good ones that you had, because the triggering of those habits are no longer going to have the same stimuli. Mm. And I often refer to, and you know, this is one of my favorite books, I listen to it many times, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's really about building very small steps to create very positive habits or to break down bad habits, right? And it's all about what he gets into, and I highly suggest people listen to this on Audible. I think it's a great way to spend an afternoon hiking, spend an afternoon, clearing your head, or even on a wonderful long drive. It really gets into the psychology of what is a habit and how do I accomplish my goals. The difference between accomplishing your goals and people who don't accomplish their goals is not that we didn't goal set, right? They both goal set, but one starts very small and it may be very simple as, okay, I want to be a person who works out.
Right.
So first I'm going to set that into mindset.
Which, by the way, is one of the most common habits we see after people go through divorce.
Absolutely. Not only is it better for you physically, obviously, but it does put you in a really good mental space.
Sure.
Right? And so first of all, you have to think, okay, I am a person who works out. I am a person who is healthy, right? And look at these choices that you're making and decide, would a healthy person make this choice? Would a healthy person decide, I'm going to drink wine on the couch today? Or would a healthy person say, I'm going to go for my walk, right? What are these choices? And so that's part of it is the mindset. But he even breaks it down when we talk about atomic habits. We're not talking large, huge, blown up habits. Atomic, think the very smallest atom of something, the very small structure of something, making it easy. And I'm just going to stick with this analogy of working out.
Yeah.
I'm putting my gym shoes by the door. Right. When I come home, I'm changing into my gym clothes. And that is a trigger in my head that has now decided I'm going to the gym. Right. In my mind, I know when I put on my gym clothes, I'm going to the gym, or I'm going for my walk, or whatever it is that you're doing to remain healthy. It's making it easier for yourself, right? And it can be as easy, and let's talk about the kids, All right, the night before, we're going to pack up the backpack the night before, and we're setting this backpack by the door.
Right.
We know we haven't forgotten anything. Our shoes are lined up by the door. So then when that morning rush comes and all the things are going on, we already know our habits are already there. We're prepared because we prepared them the night before. We're prepared because we made it easier for ourselves to grab something and go. And it's all about the convenience and habit forming. It's psychology. And,
Yeah.
And believe me, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I don't pretend to be one. But James Clear in his book, Atomic Habits, does really get into and break down. It's all about making it subconscious so that it is muscle memory that we do.
There you go.
When you drive home and you get home and you think, I don't remember driving home.
Right. How did I even
Right.
get here?
It's not that we're so distracted. It's the fact that it's muscle memory that gets you from point A to point B because you do it every single day.
You don't even think about it.
You don't even have to think about it anymore. So if we're going with the analogy of I am a healthy person, I'm making these choices. You don't even think about it, whether you're reaching for, some vegetables or some healthy, meal rather than going for the really, bad, unhealthy meal. It's like, this is what I do. And it's an automatic. And I think especially going through a life-changing event, whether it's a divorce, it's a modification of custody, your mind is so taken up with emotions that unless you develop these habits to be muscle memory, unless they are automatic to you, they're kind of going to fall apart and unravel because all of these emotions are taking up all your mind space, right? And setting these very, very simple things to make those push back into my, I don't have to think about going to the gym. I don't have to be thinking about being healthy. I don't have to be thinking about being organized. I have my habits.
Yeah.
I have everything that I walk into. I walk into a room, I know where every single thing is because I've made it a habit to put it in that particular place, right? And so I really do think coming out of a divorce, when you're trying to get back to the basics, this is a really good get back to the basics kind of listen or read if you prefer to help you say, all right, what is my goal? Great, I have a goal. My goal is in a year to be the person that I want to be. What is it the person I want to be? I want to be whatever it is, a non-smoker, a non-drinker, a happy person, a healthy person, whatever it is that I want to be. Now, what are those habits that I need to make to get there? And how can I make it easier for myself?
Right.
And how can I make it easier for my children? Atomic Habits, the book he wrote, also has one about how to parent in Atomic Habits, which I really recommend for all of our clients.
I need to read that.
It's mostly about teenagers, but you've got some coming up on there.
Soon. Yeah.
And I do think that it's the small mindsets, it's the small changes that makes the biggest difference in our life.
Yep. I don't know who said this quote, so I apologize, but the quote is, small hinges swing big doors.
Yes.
And we don't need these grand gestures to make big changes. So consistent small things make the bigger changes. And I think anybody that's listening to this, I hope the biggest thing they take away from it is the fact that Shauna is saying, start small and make it easy. And the reason I say that with a big caveat is when you're going through a major life change or a major life transition like divorce, your self-identity feels under attack. And you almost feel a little bit like you're in a vacuum of who you are. It can feel very dark place of who am I anymore? And you feel vulnerable to ideas of what am I and what am I not? And when you're starting to form habits, a lot of times people want to create these grand things for themselves so that they can hold on to a self-identity. And habits can be tricky because if we stick to a habit and we start consistently showing up to promise and the commitment we made to ourselves to stick to a habit, we feel really good about ourselves and our self-security flourishes. However, if we make it difficult, if we make it too big to swallow, and we don't show up to what we said we were going to do, we don't follow through with our commitments, and over again, we do not strengthen the habit, a whole other habit forms by default. And that's the habit of quitting. And that's the habit of, I can't trust my own word. And when you're in that transition period, that can be very dangerous. So be very mindful and intentional about the habits you're choosing for yourself. And are they realistic? And have you set them up to be realistic?
I am so glad that you said that. There's something called habit stacking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you hit on it. You hit the nail on the head. The habit stacking, when I said, all right, I'm going to put my gym shoes on. I don't have to go to the gym.
Yeah, just put the gym shoes on.
I'm just putting the gym shoes on.
That's the only habit you need
That's
to focus on.
That's the only habit
right
I need to focus right now. And once I've got that habit down, once that's my default. My default isn't, I'm on the couch. This is great. Right. My default is I got my gym shoes on. All right. Now maybe a couple of weeks later. All right. Now I have my gym clothes on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or even I'm going to go work out, but I'm only going to do it for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm going to do 10 minutes and stick to it. Doing 10 minutes and I'm leaving. And slowly that 10 minutes will become more and more.
Yeah.
It's habit stacking. You're right. You have to start small. If I go and say, I'm going to be a pilot.
Yeah.
And I go and get the plane and I start, that's not how you start to fly.
And you freak yourself out.
Right. You freak yourself out. That is not who I am. I'm definitely not a pilot.
Loser because
right.
You didn't see through it.
I am now a quitter who could not, fly a plane. That's not where you start. You walk before you run.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, this is exactly how any sports are taught, right?
Exactly.
Running is taught. So it really goes back to the same way a muscle is built.
Mm-hmm.
Shauna, thank you so much. I think that this is a critical tool that I wish was taught to children, but it is just so cool for people to make these grand announcements, make these great 90-day challenges and New Year's resolutions. The key to it is
start small
and stay consistent.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. Thanks for listening to the Happily Ever After Divorce podcast. If you'd like to learn more, go to atlantadivorcelawgroup.com/resources.